Hi everyone, it's Rebecca from Design and Adorn. I'm going to demonstrate really quickly how you bind off your Kumihimo projects. I have my braid. I've taken it off the disc, so I have an overhand knot at both ends. Already bound this end, so I'm going to do my demonstration down here. Of course, when you do your binding, you would use some sort of beading thread. I like to use Nymo because it's inexpensive and does the job. But if you have other beading thread around like 1G or KO, that'll work just fine. Most of the time, it doesn't matter what color your thread is because it's going to be completely covered up by the end cap. So I'm going to go ahead and use my white Nymo for this project, but for the demonstration, I'm using a piece of rat tail so it's thick enough for you to actually see. So I cut a piece of thread between 12 inches and 18 inches. And when it comes off the spool, it's going to be pretty curly. So you're going to tug it end to end so it straightens out a bit. And then you fold it unevenly. So there's a short side and a long side. And you place this loop on your braid wherever you want the binding to be. I'm going to hold the loop in place with my non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed, so that means I'm holding the loop with my left hand. The loop is pointing towards this big fat overhand knot from the beginning. I'm going to take the longer side and I wrap this around the braid and around this tail piece of thread that's sitting on top of the braid. My wraps are next to each other, not on top of each other, and I'm keeping this pretty tidy and snug. Go around 4 or 5 times. It will of course be much smaller than this when you use the beading thread. Hold the binds in place. If you let go of those wraps, they're just going to spring every which way. I take the working thread, that's the one that was going around, I go through the loop, and then I pull the tail to close the loop. And I just pull these in opposite directions to snug that up, like so. And then I'll tie an extra square knot on top of that. Let me do this one more time, this time using the real deal beading thread. Just take this off of here. So again, I start with a foot to a 1.5 feet of beading thread, and I tug this as it comes off the spool because it's pretty curly. I'm just going to snip that there. And I fold this unevenly so there's a short side and a long side. And I'm going to take this loop of thread and I place it on the braid where I want the binding to be. The loop of thread is pointing towards the knot. I hold this in my non-dominant hand and I use my dominant hand to wrap around. See, it's a little bit fiddlier now that I have the thinner thread. The thread goes around the braid and around this tail thread that's sitting on top of the braid, and I'm making my wraps neat and tidy next to each other, nice and snug. Go around 4 or 5 times. Then I hold those wraps in place and I take the working thread, I go through the loop, I pull the tail to close the loop, I tug in opposite directions to secure, and then for extra security I put a square knot on top, and that's just right over left, left over right. And when I'm ready to glue my end cap on, I will trim right there next to the binding, and then I'll put the end cap on. That'll be a different video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.